Good afternoon, folks. I hope you're hungry for some juicy stories. Enjoy. I definitely don't make a living at it, but I do stand-up comedy. I have a deep voice and get asked quite often if I work in radio. One night about 5 years ago, I'm doing the audience meet and greet after a show when a very drunk guy asks me the radio thing. I launch into my standard answer, "No, but thanks for the compliment about my voice," etc. Drunk guy gets very belligerent and starts yelling, "You're lying. I recognize your voice. Why are you lying to me?" He points to the woman he's with. "Why are you lying to my wife?" I really thought he might punch me. Then I calmly replied, "Oh, I know where I recognize my voice from. I work as a strip club DJ." Then I turned to his wife and gave her a big smile. I don't think she noticed, she was too busy giving him a murderous glare. In case you're wondering, I was lying about the strip club thing. 11 years ago, when I was 15, my little sister, 6, was playing with her friends in the small playground which was right across the street in front of our house. It was a hot summer afternoon and my parents were not home. Suddenly, my sister comes home crying, telling that her friends are not playing with her anymore. This has happened multiple times before. Small girls can be very toxic and brutal, and I was getting sick of this on/off friendship game they were playing with my sister. So, I opened the front door and stepped on our porch and shouted at them, asking what the problem was and why won't they play with my sister. The girls giggled and were like, "We don't have to play with her if we don't want to." And the other one was like, "Yeah, we just don't feel like it." My sister was sobbing as I sat her down on our porch and gave her an ice cream. While she was eating, I started planning. I went inside and gathered all the water toys we had from the attic, not those inflatable ones, I mean water guns etc., and I filled them all with water. Then I took out the water balloons. Every kid loves water balloons. So, I filled as many as I could, as fast as I could, and put them in a big bucket. I was afraid that those 2 girls would leave before I was ready, but luckily they were still in the playground when I opened the front door. I placed the water guns and the bucket full of water balloons right in front of our yard, so the girls could see them clearly. We did have a huge backyard, but it wouldn't be a revenge if they can't see us properly. Then I announced loudly, "Sis, go get changed. We are going to have a huge water warfare." I can still remember the excitement and happiness on my sister's face when she realized what was about to happen. We both got our swimsuits on and started playing. I wanted everyone in the neighborhood to know that me and my sister are having the time of our lives, so I made sure I laughed louder than I have ever before. And my sister, oh boy, she was so full of pure joy. The 2 girls were just standing there, staring at us. I even waved at them and was like, "Oh boy, we sure are having lots of fun here." It didn't take long until they had slowly walked in front of our yard and asked if they could join us. I grabbed my sister's hand as we walked towards them. "I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. You were saying?" The girls looked very awkward and shy as they repeated themselves, "We said that if you let us join your water warfare we promise to play with your sister more." I probably had this huge sit-eating grin on my face as I had successfully baited those 6-year-olds to say those magic words. Then I put my finger on my chin, and pretended to think. Then I said, "I'm sorry, we don't have to play with you if we don't want to." And we got back to playing. I can still remember the look on their faces even to this day. Yet the best memory of that day is my sister's laughter. Anyway, this took place back in junior high. I'm nearing my 30s now and this story still tickles me. So I had this guy in a couple of my classes who was just a douche, a real cowboy boot wearing dingleberry. He always liked to copy on me in our math class. Which, joke's on him, math has always been my worst subject. He only thought I was smart because I had a slightly above average vocabulary for my age. He also really liked kicking my chair as hard as he could to get a giggle from his groupies. One day in particular I felt him messing with my shirt. I'm super non-confrontational so I ignored it. This class is early in the day so I go on without thinking about it. When I got home though my mom saw what he did and was livid. He had wrote FUF at G on my shirt in Sharpie. And no, I had not done anything to provoke this, that I was aware of. It had been on my back and mostly obstructed by my backpack, which explains why no one else really pointed it out. Or they did notice and just said nothing. Some time passes and we also are in a shop class together. One day we had a sub and we're watching safety videos. I'm sitting right next to Dingleberry in this class, much to my displeasure. At the front of a class is this chill-seeming guy we'll call Randy. Randy was taking a nap through the movie and Dingleberry starts chucking paper balls at him. It was about the third ball when Randy turned to him and said, "Throw one more and I'm gonna best your donkey." Randy lays his head back down. Dingleberry realizes he's out of paper. He then asks me for a piece. I happily obliged and let come what may. Of course Dingleberry tries his luck and Randy leaps over desks and beats his butt. The sub broke it up pretty fast and they were both sent to the office. I then got a wonderful break from Dingleberry for a week or so. And all I did was hand him a piece of paper that he should have just used to take notes. This happened a few years ago when I was in school. I was friends with this guy, who we'll call Dan. Dan and me were pretty close, we're the people who almost dated but we never did, but I went to his house a couple times. He lived even further than me, the journey home was about 1.5 hours for him by bus. Suddenly he stopped talking to me for no reason, and stopped waiting for me as we used to take the bus home together. I asked him what the issue was. Apparently a girl he was talking to thought I was pretty clingy, and didn't trust him hanging around me. We then had a huge fight over this, ending with him calling me a harlot amongst other things, especially stuff he knew I was sensitive about. I then obviously hated him, and was going to let it go, until a week or so later. I went to class, and there was his travel card. It had clearly fallen out of his pocket. I simply placed it in between textbooks that were stacked behind me. Dan wouldn't have been able to get home without the card, and I assumed he didn't have his debit card on him because he never does. He then wouldn't be able to replace it for a week at least, which would change the transport cost from free to double his week's pocket money. I overheard him telling someone the next day that his mom was mad that he lost it, and he had to stay around school for over an hour as his mama to finish work to collect him. It wasn't a huge inconvenience, but it felt very good that it had made his day a little worse. When I started kindergarten, my mother warned my teacher that if I ever said I was going to throw up, to believe me. I always knew 2 to 3 minutes ahead of time. Well, the day came. I caught some kind of tummy bug. I was fine when I left for school, but partway through the school day, I felt sick. I put my hand up and told the teacher I was going to puke. She came over and felt my forehead, said I felt fine, and told me to just lay my head on the desk. She should have listened. A minute after she walked away, I spewed all over the carpet. If she'd listened, I would have had time to make it to the bathroom. Really, the poor janitor who had to clean it up got the worst end of the deal. This happened a few years ago when my brother was living at my place for a short period of time. We're both adults and should know the rule of don't steal others' food. Well, I know this rule. My brother, however, does not. He's never had a solid meal routine. Instead of eating 3 meals a day, he eats periodically during the day. When he moved in, I told him firmly that he was not to eat any of my food and only eat his own, which he agreed to. The first few days went fine, but after a week I started to notice certain things disappearing and I had to do more shopping than usual. I asked him if he'd been taking my food, but he was adamant that he wasn't. I knew better than this. Since a very early age I've been able to tell if my brother is lying, which in this case he was, but I've never pulled him up on this, so he doesn't know I can pick a lie. Bring on the petty revenge. In my next shop I purchased cooking chocolate, wasabi, canned tuna and canned tuna cat food. The next day after he left for work I began. I soaked the cans in the sink for 10 minutes to get the labels off and replaced the labels, making sure to scratch off the pet food sign on them. I placed them back in the cupboard. I have a cat, so the cat food wasn't out of place. After putting a layer of melted chocolate into the cake molds and letting them set, I coating the insides with a very generous coat of wasabi and then sealed them with more chocolate. The chocolate/wasabi creations I made were small enough to put the whole thing in your mouth at one go, and I made sure to make enough that 1 or 2 wouldn't be noticeable, setting the trap perfectly for my brother. All I had to do was wait. When my brother got home later that day I casually went into my room to wait. And right on cue I heard the cupboards opening and closing and cans being opened. Brilliant. About 10 minutes later I heard the fridge being opened. Got ya. 20 seconds later I heard my brother screaming and yelling out. What the flip? OMG, what is this? Op, what the heck did you do? What is this? I came out of my bedroom with a smile on my face. What's wrong? Faking concern. Bro, pointing at the plate on the table with the chocolates on it. What the heck is this? Are you trying to bloody kill me? Me, why were you eating my food? I thought you said you weren't eating my food. Silence. followed with him muttering something under his breath as he walked to his room and slammed the door. I had a look in the bin and sure enough, there were empty cans of tuna in there. I yelled to my brother through his door, "How was the cat food?" "Bro, the what?" "Me, the cans of tuna in the cupboard are cat food. I hope you liked it." "Bro, WTF? Why would you do that? That could kill me. What's wrong with you?" He never ate my food again. What did you think? What would you have done differently? Share your opinions in the comments. And if you enjoyed the stories, slap that like and subscribe button for more of them, and don't forget to support the original writers with an upvote. Links are in the description. Peace out, and catch you tomorrow.